I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all go? Why do we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien. Two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I am one half of that podcast, senior writer for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, author of How to Fight Presidents, and jack of a few other trades, but I never talk about it because I'm so shy. Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Soren Bowie. I'm a writer for American Dad. If you didn't already know. Or Daniel, are you painting?
Me? So for our listeners who are just listeners and nothing else, in case you didn't know, this podcast is also in video form now. You can find it on YouTube at the Quick Question YouTube channel. And what you're missing if you're just listening is I'm so embarrassed and shy. I didn't even realize behind me is a fresh painting that I made recently of a boat sailing across a reflective water. Soren is shaking his head. Soren?
I was going to say that's... can I just see it over your shoulder before? And it's sort of like... Oh, it's a sailboat. Yeah. I thought it was some gentleman... I thought it was like Washington crossing the Potomac, where it's like a bunch of guys standing up.
Nah.
And I was like...
It's...
yeah. Okay, it's a sailboat. It's a white sailboat over... the black silhouetted hills and the sun, either setting or rising, depending on whether you're an optimist or a pessimist.
It's not really clear to the artist, so I think that kind of ambiguity is important for the piece, actually. And look at you sip from your American Dad mug. What a branded day we are having. This is I did a paint and sip class with my fiance and my mother. Which I've never done before. I don't know if you've done one of those, but this is the product of that. And it was a super fun time. I highly recommend paint and sip classes. And
it's beautiful, Dan. You did a really nice job. You must be proud of it, right? You must be proud of it, right?
I'm like annoyingly proud of it. Yeah. I'm like
really
way prouder of it than I should be, because the class is like, it's designed to let everyone leave with a painting that looks like the thing it's supposed to look like while they're drinking. So I know in the back of my mind that I'm probably not actually a painter, but I don't know, I'm kind of a painter. Look at those trees. You kidding me?
It's really gorgeous. Did Shay take it too?
She did, yeah, and she
Here we go.
rogue with hers. And because everyone else, there's like, we're doing this thing, and here's the sample. And it's like this brownish, reddish, umbrish, yellow sky that we're all going to do together as a class. And Shay was like, I would like to do a blue sky instead with no sun and have a big moon shining down. And it was like far and away the best one in the class. I'm not just saying that because we're going to get married. It was like very clearly the teacher was going around and stopping at everyone's easel and saying like, just like fixing things that I did wrong, where it's like, we're going to paint over this and then you could redo the boat the best you can, or like just some tips about how you can make your trees better. And then the teacher stops at Shay and like pauses the way like a talent scout sees a young prospect. She looks at the work that Shay has done and is like, for everyone else, she was fixing things. For Shay's, she was giving tips to enhance things. It's like, you know what you could do? You can use, because your moon is here, you could add some light hitting the trees just here. Yes, that's it. And just the two, like, just clearly in a different class, the two of them, than the rest of us.
That's not what I anticipated. I expected you to come out of this having done the assignment with an A+, and like how frustrating that would be for Shay. But instead, it's the other way around.
No, yeah, she went rogue and still defeated everybody.
Let me just say really quickly, Daniel, and it's something that's
Sure.
I've been looking at in it, and I want you to be happy with your painting, and I think it's good. I know celestial bodies are not your thing. Space sucks to you, but
I'm
space
not interested
fucks
in it.
to me, Dan.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
where your sun is and where your moon is, there's no correlation there. You're
No,
this is
they're
from
not
a
supposed to be
planet
there?
where there are two moons. Actually, it's where there are two suns, because you have a sun
Okay.
setting, and then you'd also need over. Let's pretend that we're looking like due west right now. You'd also need a sun over to the south in order for that moon to be doing that.
This has been another episode of Science versus Art with Neil deGrasse Tyson ruining everyone's day with his
But look, your
knowledge of
moon is
where
right next to your
space
sun.
things go. Yeah, sometimes
There's
they
a-
hang out together.
They do not like that. No, they don't.
There was just an eclipse recently where they were like great buddies. They were practically on top of each other kissing.
that little thumbnail moon you're not going to get with the sun down below. Here, I was working on our show. We get we get our screeners every once in a while where we're like, here's the color model and or the color screening, and we watch it. And I got mad. I got mad because there's this was The Curious Case of the Old Hole. There you see the hole, which is like this place where Steve has been going his whole life with snot, and then there's a beautiful moon over it, and then within that crescent, there's a star you can visible within the crescent. And I was like, stop, hold everything. What do you think the moon is? Like in a really Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of way, where I was like, that's not how it works. You can't have a star inside the crescent of the moon. That's just a big thing that we don't see, that you're only seeing part of, but it's a big circle.
Art exists in retaliation to people like you.
Okay, great. I mean, I'm telling you also that I made a whole television show.
I know. That's why I was so nervous about bringing up my artwork, because you work for American Dad, which means as a writer-producer on that show, you draw Jeff, right? Correct? You draw Jeff every time he's on screen.
That's the only thing I do.
And then,
the only thing I do is draw Jeff Fisher.
A couple years, if you get promoted, I think in 2 more years, you draw Stan. Do I have that right?
No, it actually goes to Francine first. She's like the soft launch to Stan. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Hey, fuck. I think I can see some stars in your crescent.
Some stars in my crescent?
Right.
What does that mean?
The same thing I've been saying. I can see
think it
stars. I can see stars where there should not be stars because there's a goddamn moon in the way.
I like to think of those less like stars and more like mistakes from someone whose wrists were getting tired from painting for 3 hours.
I love it though, Ro. I love it. I think that it's so like the trees. How did you do that? How did you know to do trees like that?
How did I know to do trees like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. The teacher was like, use this brush and then do some she was like a very phenomenally bad teacher. And she was like, just take your brush and then just do some leaves on the trees.
Gorgeous. Well,
And
those
then
are
I just
needles,
started
but
doing it,
they're
and that was
gorgeous.
very happy with it. Yeah. The
did a
boat,
really
I
nice
fell
job.
apart in 2 places. I fell apart on the boat. The boat was obviously the most complicated design, and it requires a steady hand that I don't have. And I also fell apart on the moon. You see the moon is kind of wobbly. It's also, you can't tell by looking at it, my second attempt at that moon. I did a crescent moon, and then I painted over it because it was bad, and then I did a second, also bad version, and just ran with it because I couldn't do a third moon. You'd really think I'd never seen a moon before.
That was the artist inside of you was telling you this should not have a moon in it.
Yeah, fair. There was a part of me that was briefly tempted to auction this off to our viewers, but then I realized that charity would just be me, and then I'm selling art, and I don't think I'm okay with myself charging money for art in this particular way.
You really? I think it's great. I think you should sell it. Also, I love how you've mounted it.
This isn't where it normally lives. For listeners who can't see the video, I have turned a wire hanger upside down and impaled the back of the painting and then placed it really really haphazardly on the bar behind me. And there was a ticking clock on this painting. I was very worried that you would say, lift it up, let me see the rest of it. And that was just that was a no-go.
Yeah. Well, it's gorgeous, Daniel. It's far better than anything I could possibly do myself. And I'm so impressed with your ability here. This is like the beginning of something good, I think.
Thanks, man. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we did buy a couple of easels and some paint sets and some canvases. So this is the next thing.
Yeah, how is that not getting too far ahead of yourself?
I am now.
Why did I get that disclaimer? It sounds like you're way ahead of yourself.
Well, it's just because it's not on my business cards yet that I'm a painter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, you have provider of services on the card, which I feel like serves a lot of purposes. That's
true.
Heavy lifting statement. Are you going to... Do you have a palette? Like, do you have something that you put all the paints on, and then you...
Yes.
Like, you squeeze it on like condiments? Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah. That's like the part of the painting that I think is the coolest. I think that the routine of putting that out, mixing the paints together, getting the color you want, like that stuff is all very romantic to me in terms of like somebody from the outside looking at painting. Obviously, somebody is an insider. It means nothing to you.
Boring. It's just math for me. It was very soothing and very relaxing to paint in ways that I hadn't anticipated it being. It's because it's repetitive and you're watching white fade away and you're watching progress, and it's just very like anytime, the same as fishing or running or any of the other stuff that I do that I love, where you're just like focused on a repetitive action on one thing and sort of blocking out all of the other noise. It's great.
It's puzzle solving. I mean, I don't want to devalue what art is, but like it is really along the way. You're just like, this isn't working. How do I make this part work? There we go. And you see the progress as you go, and then you just move to a new section and move to a new section.
Right.
I love it. It's like that's what carpentry is for me. That's what when I first started doing carpentry, I was like, open up the Etsy shop. This is me now.
Yeah. Should we get into the show? I have a quick question for you.
The show, yeah. Let's do the show. Go ahead. Hit me with a quick question.
This is I like this one. This is actually a tweet from a writer that I followed back in the day on Twitter, back when I was on Twitter. Her name is Raina on Twitter. She is Quaker Raina, and she's a comedy writer. And I saw this tweet years ago, but it just like resurfaced on Reddit or wherever I was browsing, and I filed it away for this. The tweet, Soren. Your wife has been kidnapped and is being held in a location 30 minutes away. You are driving to rescue her. It's a warm night and your windows are down. Do you listen to music on the drive there, yes or no?
And do I have to say what I'm going to listen to?
I think that's helpful, yeah.
Okay.
It reminded me, while you're mulling that, it reminded me of like, I've never had to rescue anyone from danger or anything, but like a real world emotional thing of going through a bad breakup and then having a long drive from where I was breaking up to my home, and just like all I wanted to do was just I was just like so completely in my emotions and in touch with my feelings, and just like thinking about it and letting myself feel things, and very like present and checking in with myself, but at the same time just like, well, I can't drive in silence. I can't like just like numb myself and weep in silence. So let me like just hit on the radio, and like sitting there being very focused on my pain, and then also going like, well, no, not this next.
Hey, it's Big Tuna here with the KR 101. Want you to know, next up we've got the Bee Gees.
Right. It's like, no, I don't want to hear anything exciting. I want to hear something sad. And then there'll be a really sad song like, well, no, not this Pearl Jam cover about the person dying in a car accident. Not that sad. Give me like some middle ground.
That's tough. Here's my real world example of this is that my wife started to go into labor in our house. And I don't mean like, oh, like her water broke and now we have a few more hours. Like she went into active labor with our second child in our house. And to the point where I was like preparing the bathtub and calling 911 and being like, we're going to have this kid here. And at the last second after a contraction, she went, if we left right now, I think we could make it. Getting her out to the car. She's on all fours in the back seat because she can't even sit down. And I'm driving and asked her while we were driving, what do you want to listen to? Thinking like, this is obviously it's your day. You could do whatever you want today. What do you want to listen to? And she was like, so mad that I had asked that question, and understandably so. Now that I have the beauty of hindsight, but at the time I was like, surely there's something like that would calm you. Like, what do you want? But what I was doing was like, hey, make a decision right now. Make a decision.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. Like, is the beauty of hindsight to incept yourself and go back in the past and change events? Would you keep it completely silent, or is the move to pick the thing that you think will soothe her, or just to pick anything?
Right. How emotionally intelligent are you? Are you going to know what that song is, or like what it is that needs to go on? Is it hypnobirth even? Like what is it that you're going to put on that you know is exactly right? And I'm generally bad at that. But if it's just me and I'm on the way and she's been kidnapped and I have to go get her, I'm pretty confident that I'm putting on some fucking pump up music. I'm going to get myself pumped up.
You're going to give yourself a real life soundtrack.
It's 30 minutes away. Like I'm going to drive that in silence. Perfect. I'm going to feel, I want to keep whatever emotion I've got. Like I need to keep that amped, because it's not like I'm just going to get there and they're going to be like, okay, you made it in 30 minutes. Here she is. I feel like I've got to have my head on a swivel as soon as I get there for some violence.
And then if you get to your destination and it's like, sometimes when I'm coming home from the gym or the store and the song I'm listening to I really like, I'll drive past my apartment if it's not over yet, so I can like
you
get to the good part. I'll do a little U-turn at the supermarket and come back, make sure I got to sing my favorite part of the song.
You can just park and do that.
No, and people will see me. They can't see me when I'm driving.
Because you're going so fast, you're just a blur to them. I think that I'm putting on some pump up music, and if I'm gonna decide on like what that is, I'm realizing also I don't listen to pump up music anymore. When I was in like high school, it was very important to me because you are filled with a lot of emotions and also doing a lot of sports. Right. So you're very in tune with pump up music. Even when I work out, I'm listening to like Bon Iver now. It's not. It would excite nobody. So
right. A lot of my running music is like disassociation music.
Yeah.
Like something to take my mind somewhere else, so I can just let my body move this sack of electrified meat forward. So I don't have a playlist that's ready for. It's like you need to be tough at your next destination.
Do you know what's most exciting about this to me, and I can't stop thinking about it, it's actually interfering with what I'm going to listen to, is that as soon as you said that my wife has been kidnapped and I have to go get her, I'm immediately so pumped that I get to put on my gun.
Oh my God. I don't want to dwell on that. I don't want to talk about it.
I get to wear my little cowboy holster. I get to put some little bullets and the little pieces on it. And then I get to put the gun on my hip. And then I get to, well, I mean, obviously make sure it's right in the mirror for a little while. Make sure it looks good. Make sure that I've got it, like my poles are good. And
I'm wasting time for doing a U-turn at the supermarket to hear the end of someone gets hurt from Mean Girls. You're a hypocrite.
Then I have to go get in the car, realize that it's not comfortable to sit down with it. And now I'm in a logistical nightmare where I'm like, okay, do I take the gun out and put it on the seat next to me? Because that's not legal.
No.
Or do I put it in the trunk? Do I run back inside and get the locking case for it, just in case? Mm-hmm. In case.
Boy.
But okay, now that I've got it settled. I put it in the back. I went inside, got the locking case. Now I think I'm gonna basically listen to pump up music from when I was in high school. So it's gonna be early AFI. It's gonna be like Black Sails AFI, and it might. Who else do I want to listen to? Millencolin, Suicide Machines. I'm gonna listen to Bouncing Souls. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah. I feel like I'm listening to some. I feel like I'm going to listen to Chop Suey by System of a Down. I'm going to listen to some more System and some Dream Theater, because Dream Theater can be very aggressive, especially when they're just doing their like instrumental stuff. Dream Theater is a prog metal band. I know that it sounds like a stereotype of like a playlist that I would make for my day-to-day life. Like my cooking music is called Dream Theater. It's a very reasonable guess if you've never heard of the band. But they're like a prog metal, really like tough guy kind of band that I listened to a lot in high school and is good to get the blood pumping. And I think my ending song, if I timed it right, even though it's not music that I ever opt to listen to, would be the music that horribly operates some like ingrained tribalism in me, is that like Flogging Molly Shipping Up to Boston song, where this was a couple years ago. My brother and sister-in-law got married. Her family is very Italian, and we're Irish Italian. We're more Irish, obviously, O'Brien. And they had a band at their wedding. And towards the end of the night, the band was like, "We're gonna play like some traditional Italian song." And it was like beep ba da ba da ba doo, and get all the Italian folks having a good time. And now we're gonna play an Irish song, and they played that Flogging Molly's "Shipping Up to Boston" song. And it's a song that I don't think about, and I never seek out. But as soon as it started going, I was like up and jumping, and we were pumped, and like it just activates this hitherto concealed Irish pride in me that was like, this song is for us and about us, and it just like charged me up. And even thinking about it now, I'm ready to rescue someone's wife. My fiance.
I love Flogging Molly. That is a Dropkick Murphys song.
Is it really?
Yeah,
great.
They're great too. That's the one from The
That's
Departed,
how little
right?
I think of these bands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Dropkick Murphys song. Dropkick Murphys
thank you
also
for that correction.
really great. The Pogues right in that fit right in there as well, where you're like, there is something so God, if this was any other culture, I could. This is a very racist thing to say, but it's very primal. Like it's a very animalistic. Like yes, like let's go.
That's what I felt to me when they were playing that music, and I was jumping up with all of the Irish people in this wedding, where I'm like, am I like this? Is this in me?
I can't blame you at all, especially after listening to a bunch of like fucking that very jaunty Italian type of music, where like you expect to be drinking out of drinking Chianti out of like one of those wine bottles with a basket on the bottom. And then all of a sudden you get to do like this rageful Irish song. That's wonderful.
Right.
All right, I'm with you.
It's a really great transition. A great transition from the night is winding down with the Italian music to fuck you, the night is just starting, the night's never gonna end with that Dropkick Murphys.
I'm into it. I like Irish punk. Like there's definitely a special place in my heart for that. I'm gonna put on some as well. Thank you for talking to me on my phone as I was driving there to get my wife. And then if it doesn't end in time, circle around, do a quick U-turn.
Of course.
And come listen, let the song finish, respect the artist.
There's the two reasons for not having music. One of them is if this is a non-hypothetical and a real-world thing, I don't know that I will put on music because I might just be I might be like truly numb and not thinking about it. There could be music, there could not be, and I wouldn't even know it. But the other thing that occurs to me is, so in this scenario, you are successful at rescuing your wife. That goes without saying, that music or no music, you are successful. You stop the bad guys, whatever that means to you and your hypothetical, and then you rescue your wife, you get back in your car, and you go home. As soon as you start the car, whatever was last playing is going to come on, and she's
Yeah.
going to know that. And that's
She's gonna
something
know
that,
that I was
like
wrapping up
she's
that
just
search
like,
engine
she's
podcast.
just done with the traumatic experience of kidnapping. She's like, I just can't wait to get home and be safe. And you start the car, we're taking up the Boston, wow! And she has to like turn the volume down. She's like, did you put this on? Did you go to Spotify and search this on the way over here?
I was at a light. It was a very long light. Yeah, I mean, the other option is that I have on, whatever podcast I was listening to, and I'm just like,
Right.
well, it's the only thing on right now, and I gotta focus. Here's what I'm most concerned about with myself, is that I know that I'm gonna get to a light at some point. I'm gonna have to stop. Like, maybe there's even cars going where it's like, it's not even a possibility of me running this light. I'm gonna pick up my phone for a second, just see what's going on in the world. I'm gonna be like, well, I mean, like, let's see what's going on over at Blue Sky.
That's certainly fair. I have TickTick, which is my to-do list app that I'm constantly consulting. And if I'm on my way to rescue my fiance and I've stopped at a light, I would look at that and be like, well, this wasn't on the list, so I probably can't go to the gym now, so I can push that to tomorrow. What else am I not going to have time to do now that I have this rescue mission that we didn't budget for? I wanted to play bass. I guess no. I guess that's all. It's all tomorrow. I guess that's all future me.
If we wrap this up quick, I have about 45 minutes I could still play bass in when we get home. Depending on her emotional state, I think. I wonder if I could convince her that this is helpful.
Right.
Oh, green light. Okay, sorry everybody. I think I'm gonna look at my phone. It's not something I'm proud of, but I will likely do it. I will likely be like, well, let's just see if my show got picked up. Hold on.
Sitting at a stoplight, thinking, I mean, I know it's not the most important thing in the world, but I have a 653-day long Duolingo streak, and I know once I rescue her, we're not going to want to spend a second apart. This is my last shot today to keep my chain going. I think I got to do it.
You know
and
what?
What if the kidnappers are Spanish?
I'm going to turn around and go home because this is going to really fuck up my workout. So it'd probably be better if I biked there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to hustle on the bike. My earbuds are not charged. I'm going to have to charge those for a little bit. As long as I'm
charge
home,
up
I'm
those,
make a sandwich.
Those beautiful comfortable
earbuds.
Raycons.
There you go.
Gotta get them nice and charged. And it doesn't even take long for them to charge for the battery to last super long. That's one of the great things about them.
The best things about them. And I think that I could bike there. I think that would be fine. Although my hair is going to be weird for being under the helmet. And if I'm meeting new people, I'm not sure that that's something I want.
New people. Yeah, the detail that I love in Raina's writing in this is it's a warm night and your windows are down. Just a completely unnecessary detail.
Well, because that's when you want to listen to music the most.
I know.
It's like,
because certainly no matter what, I'm not going to put on the air conditioning when I'm on the way to rescue my fiance. No. I'm not trying to be comfortable here.
I did run some lights when I took my wife to the hospital when she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. That was only one of the mistakes that I made. Was I felt good about running the lights. That felt like I was demonstrating to her that I was really hurrying. The music was a big misstep.
Are you treating them like stop signs where you're going to stop and then proceed when safe, or are you just hoping
I'm not
the rest of the world
through.
sees you? Okay.
No, I'm like, I get to the light, I'm making sure that the coast is clear, and then I'm going through it, and apologizing to no one. sorry.
Right.
And then, so I felt like I started to like dig my way out of the hole there, and then fell into another just catastrophic one when I took her to the wrong entrance of the hospital. The hospital has like an emergency entrance, and then there's like another entrance for just oncology or something like that. And I went to that one, got out, and I was like, my wife is in labor. And they're like, well, then you should go to the hospital. And I was like, oh no, what does that mean? like, you got to go back. And so I get back in the car and start driving again. And that was rough on her. That was like, are you fucking kidding
sure.
me type of moment. The only saving grace was that we got there, they got her into a chair, and they are so used to seeing women come in being like, or families, I should say, men and women coming in, they're saying like, we're in labor. Get us to a bed right now. Because that's how everybody feels. As soon as like labor starts, they're like, we're the only people on the planet. Fucking help us. Yeah. And then, so they're like sitting in a wheelchair and they're like trying to like sign her in and stuff. And I was like, I don't think you understand. Like, she's in labor right now. They're like, okay. And then we finally get to a room, get her in the bed, and like they get a peek at my daughter's hair. Like, she's crowning, like she's coming out. And they were like, oh fuck. And immediately like everything, then we started getting taken seriously. But it was just a real eye-opening experience to get a peek at how women in general deal with hospitals, where you go to a medical situation and you're like, things are very bad for me, and the hospital's like, short toots, let me finish this cigarette first.
The cards were stacked against them because you come in and you're like, I don't think you understand. She is ready to give birth now. And they're like, is this the fucking guy that just drove to the hospital gift shop? Is he telling us what we don't know? Is he in our business?
I also don't know. Somehow during that time, my car got moved. And I don't totally know how. I left the keys in. There's a security guard sitting outside, but there's no valet system. You have to go through the another entrance to get a valet and everything. But like I got in and like I'm just in that roundabout, the same way like a hotel would have one. And I was just like, the keys are in the car, to the security guard. He's like, I don't do that. And I just left. And then later my car was moved.
In fact, we don't have that at this hospital.
It wasn't stolen. I relied on the kindness of strangers in a way that I've never have in my life, where I was just like, I might have even left the door open. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was really touch and go. We almost didn't make it.
It seems like, I remember you telling me about that when it happened, and it feeling like an incredibly tense. It's fun to talk and laugh about it now, but it did seem like a really tense in a way that made me like, God willing, we get pregnant one day, and that's what's in the cards for us. I feel like, just for safety, I would move to a hotel across the street from the hospital for the last full trimester. I just want to be there.
I was going to say, because my daughter was supposed to be born like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks later than she was. And so we were like, we had plans for Colleen's parents to come out and everything. And all of a sudden we were in a situation where like, oh, there's no help. Like, we don't have anybody here. And it was, to give you like a sense, my wife and I left for the hospital at 7:45. My daughter was born at 8:30. So like that, it was quick. It was like that. That's the time in the car and the time getting to the chair and the bed and everything was like, that was all seconds, like crucial seconds, where then the baby was there. And so it was very scary. We were at home trying to figure out what we were going to do, and we called our old nanny, who was not supposed to be in helping at all. We hadn't seen her in a very long time, but we had no one else. And we were like, can you please come watch Ronan? Because he's still asleep at this point. And we get to that point where Colleen was like, I can leave if we leave right now. And Maria's not there. And I'm like, we're just going to have to leave him. Like, she's going to come eventually, but we're about to leave a 4-year-old child home alone because there's nothing else we can do. And we were like prepared to leave him. For, he would have been asleep and it would have been like 5 minutes, but still, that's a very scary prospect as a parent. And we didn't. We were like, on the way to the car, she had another contraction, almost collapsed. I'm like holding the screaming woman up at 5 in the morning outside as people are walking their dogs past, being like, this is okay, right? You guys, this is not like a domestic thing. And then
that's a miracle scream, right? Good. Okay.
I'm just
Mazel.
Just shut up. I'm putting her in a car. And then as we were like leaving, Maria pulled up and we're like, oh, thank God. But it was a situation where like we're out of options, and we were like, we're gonna have to just leave our 4-year-old child alone for an indefinite amount of time. Like, it could have been like, if something had happened to Maria, like, you never know.
Right.
It was very scary.
Yeah. But it all worked out.
It did. It worked out great. In fact, she was, she wanted to do. This is for people who are like considering having children. She wanted to. With our first child, she definitely did drugs and like was planning to do that with my daughter. And there just like wasn't even time for any of that. It was like you get there and you're like, there's no way that's even a possibility. You would just by default have a natural birth. And it was like, oh,
yeah.
Well, that took a lot of things out of our hands, a lot of decisions out of our hands.
I'm going to, I feel like again, God willing, future hoping. The second a doctor says, congratulations, you're pregnant, I'll be like, I was hoping for this. And then I wheel out a giant suitcase. And we're like, we've got enough to stay here for the next 10 months, just in case. So we're going to stay right here. We like this room.
It's good.
We're going to stay right here. We can both work from home. So this is good. And we're here now. And then whenever the baby wants to come, we'll be ready.
Did I see that there's a Wendy's down the street? That is perfect. That is so perfect.
Sorry, for Postmates purposes, is there a suite number or do I just say hospital? And then someone at the front desk pings me when it comes.
You know what? By the end of this, I'm going to be sick of Wendy's, and I'm excited about that. That's so exciting to me that I will be sick of
it. Do you have any questions for me, your co-host, Soren?
Oh God, no, I didn't plan anything for this podcast. I
okay,
did
good.
have a
I got
question.
another one.
No, I have a question for you. Are
Great.
you? Let's see. You're getting close to 40 now, right? You're like 3 years away from 40.
Suppose, yeah. I mean, I like to think of myself as far from 30.
What does that even mean? Do you have
just taking 40 out of the sentence is helpful
that
for
feels
me.
Better. Okay. Do you have any like long-standing injuries that you're just like it's now occurring to me that this is just going to be something I'll have for the rest of my life, that this isn't going to be one that goes away?
Yes and no. I mean, there's no. Well, yes and yes.
Tell me your medical history on a podcast, Daniel.
Yeah, there's some. I have the foot that I broke last year that I never properly attended to, and just like started running again without waiting for it to fully heal and without getting a consultation from a doctor after the first doctor was like, that's broken, don't run on it. Yeah. And I was like, fucking doctors are quacks. That never, I don't think, healed 100% right, and maybe the bones will just like reshuffle in a couple years and it'll be fine.
That doesn't happen. That's not how it works.
And do still run on it, but I just know that like this is different, and like I favor my gait differently as I'm trying to like not press down super hard on some parts of my foot, and I can feel that shifting things in like the rest of my wretched body, my hips and everything, as to compensate for this new posture that I'm doing to treat with tenderness the parts that I've hurt. What am I, a fucking poet? And the other pain that is not specific to, like, I can't tie to an actual injury, is just persistent knee pain from running. Yeah. And I don't know that it will. Either it'll never go away because it's just like knee pain that I have as part of my system now, or it'll never go away because I'm never going to stop running until it's medically impossible for me to do so. Because I'll run fine and run fine and run fine and run fine, and then the knee will start acting up, and then I will wait for it to act up less and then go back to running again until it acts up again, and then I will run less. And my brother, who's an occupational therapist, and we're on the same like running app, so he sees how many miles I'm putting on and how fast I'm moving. He has said, in his expert opinion, that I am, it's repetitive stress. I'm running too much and too fast. I'm a very fast runner, Soren, and it like it's medically problematic how fast I am. And
everybody knows that's how Bo Jackson hurt himself. He was too strong for his own body.
And it's truly, it's a knee injury. It's really a brain injury because it gets fixed or it gets alleviated if I don't run as fast as I can every time I go out. Every runner that I talk to was just like, yeah, you can have a day of speed running a week, and then the rest of it, make a distance day, make a jogging day, make it just like, don't make it an anything day. Just run for the love of running. And it's very, even when I'm, it's going to sound like a brag, but I promise I'm the villain here. Even when I'm trying to go slow, I still end up being faster than you would think I'm attempting to go.
No, yeah, I get that. You have a speed that's like, this is my comfort speed. This is what I'm actually getting a workout from. And your body will slip into that every single time you stop paying attention. Yeah, that makes sense.
And especially if I have what's supposed to be like an easy day, and then I look down at my app and I see that like I'm pacing for a 7:12 mile. I'm like, well, it'd be a shame to waste this. I might as well just keep going and see how long I can keep up that pace. And I get very proud of myself. And then I am laid out for 3 days because I can't walk.
So the way that you're living is how I've lived my entire life, which is, oh shit, this thing's not working right. Well, let's figure out a workaround until that heals. But assuming that like it's just going to heal automatically, and that you're like not doing more damage to it every single time that you're working out or doing something on it. And it works. I mean, it works up until you're probably about this age. And so like it wasn't until around 40 where I was like, I need to actually let this thing heal. And what a demoralizing and scary prospect that is, that you're not going to be doing anything for a while. And you're like, but all that work I put in, all that work is we're going to lose it all. What if I just do everything else? And a doctor or somebody will be like, no, you don't understand. Like, you're aggravating it every single time you're working out, and then or we're running, and then you have to be like, okay, so I just don't do anything. What? And they're like, yeah, just try it for, and I'm like, they're like, not long, and I'm like, how long? And they're like, I don't know, a month. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. A whole month. Anyway, I'm running into an issue where I have all of a sudden I was just like lifting one day, and my shoulder, I wasn't even confident that it was the shoulder. There's like this shooting pain that was started kind of like in my shoulder blade and was all the way to my elbow. And I was like, I don't even know where that was born from. Where that came from. And it was the first time in my life where I was like, well, I should just stop right now and like not do anything for a week and see if this goes away. And even though I'm not going to feel it again in like 3 days, still not do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the responsible thing, Daniel.
Did you completely stop the workout that day?
No.
Yeah, because I would also not do that.
I was already at the
I've
gym.
done workouts where I've felt sometime last year a real like rip in my chest, and I knew that it was going to lay me out for a while, but I thought, well, I can't make it worse by continuing my workout today, even though like I definitely can. My mind was like, this day is going to go down as an injury no matter what happens next. So I might as well just get it in.
And also, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this again because of this thing. I might as well get in a really good one today.
Yeah.
Just build up some goodwill with my muscles. Yeah. So yeah, I did not stop. I like moved it around and kept moving it just like generally in the air to see which movement was the one that hurt the most. And I was like, okay, we just avoid that movement. And probably paid the price. Like it was sore the next day. And then at that point I was like, I'm not going to work out this for a while. I'm running still. Mm-hmm. That seems to be fine. But I am not going to work out for the whole week. And then if it's something that you're used to, if it's like brushing teeth to you, when you're not doing it, you're like, oh my God, I feel, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do today? Maybe I should just go. And like really talking yourself down every single time to be like, no, you don't need to do this. Your teeth aren't going to fall out if you don't brush them. Like,
it's
metaphorically.
Right. It's tough to give up your favorite workout, even if it's in your best interest. Like when I have to lose running for any amount of time, it's not just, it's such a house of cards where I'm more irritable because I've built running into like my meditation and my disassociation and like getting my mind right and like my solitude, and just like all the non-mental stuff, all the endorphins that occur when you're doing that, and then you mix in like what that physically does to your body, whether it feels like it makes you trimmer or stronger. And when you see that go, I very problematically have connection between how I think I'm looking and how I'm feeling too. So it's a whole lot of stuff that gets lost just from running that makes everything definitely like noticeably, measurably worse, and also intangibly worse in terms of just like it feels like I skipped a meal every day, or it feels like I skipped, I didn't get a good enough sleep. Like you're missing some foundational part of what you'd conditioned your body to accept as normal is just gone all of a sudden, and you just feel off kilter.
There's also just the built-in knowledge that it took you a while to get to that point where it felt like brushing your teeth, where you were working out so frequently that it does feel like a piece is missing each day. And you know how long it took you to fall into that routine. And you know how easily you can fall out of that routine. And so when you're not doing it, you're also fucking with your own subconscious. You're like, well, maybe this isn't a thing that I need. And you don't want to be in that. That's like the scariest position to be in of all, where you don't want to go work out, because then you're like, I'm back to zero. Like that's the hardest part when it's building the knowledge that this is not something that's a requirement every day. This is a routine. This is just like something that I do every single day.
Because I remember what I was like in COVID and at my least healthy, and like at a real crossroads decision point where I was like, I can force myself to run every day, like starting from zero, because I'd taken so much time off. I could force myself to get back into it, force myself to work out in my apartment, or I could just completely go the other way and just decide to be like a fun chubby guy and buy clothes that fit that type of, and just like change my personality too, and just like be that kind of person. And that would be like we just need to make the decision and then stick to it, because this strange in between place where I was out of shape but dressing like a fit 25-year-old, that's no good. So I need to go in one way or the other, and I chose the fitness route. If I was in a position where I couldn't run for 2 or 3 months, that conversation would happen again, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to choose the path that I want. I might just be like, well, I'll just be a guy who's got like a really in shape mind, and I sit down all day.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's the choice people make, that's absolutely fine. But like I was also in the position where I was like, it's not tenable anymore. The way that I want to eat, I will continue to gain weight, and it will be a type of weight that is tougher on my body. Like it's like I can feel it already. I can feel being winded when I go upstairs and stuff, or like when I sit down and like my pants do a weird thing in the back where they fold a little bit. Like I don't even know what this thing is. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where like the back of your jeans will just sag
in the
more?
back when you sit.
They open up like like an eye, basically. Like you sit down and like the weight from your lower back, like it spreads the slack forms in the back of the jeans and opens up. You don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm not even close to knowing what the fuck you're talking about. That's
I'm having a hard time explaining this. In the same way.
I mean, we also have we famously have wildly different butts, you and me. So we just might we're working with entirely different sets of cards.
When you're wearing a shirt that's got buttons on it and it's too tight and you sit down, the way that up near like the chest, where they just like buttons have a lot of tension on them, but they kind of split in the middle, like in between, like you get that gap all of a sudden. It's that, but with jeans. Like you're getting the points of tension are not pulling the jeans taut. Like the points of tension are actually creating slack in the very middle. It just always felt like that's where. It made me realize. Oh, this is why you can always see.
I do understand what you're talking about.
You can see a plumber's crack.
I get that now. Yeah. I do understand. Okay.
And so
excellent job explaining.
As I was dealing with that, I was like, I don't. yeah, I either need to change my entire wardrobe and like get this solved, or I need to like figure something else out, and I need to do stuff that I've never done before. I need to like do cardio. I need to figure it out. And so I was like, well, let's just try it. Let's try it for a little while. And that's always like the easiest way to do it, is that you say to yourself, well, until this event or whatever. And now I'm living basically event to event to event, where I'm like, well, I know I've got Daniel's wedding coming up, so I don't want to wear my suit, so I'm gonna have to. It's salads for lunch until then, and I'm working out.
Good. That is, you read the invitation thoroughly. It's salads until the wedding for everybody for lunch. We're very
it was a really
that.
Strange request, but I'm willing to honor it. It's your day.
Yeah, and I said invitations. That was just the save the date. The invitations will come after the weigh-in. You'll be sent information for where you can, like one of our locations where you can
weigh in,
get on a scale, and then if the numbers are, or no judgment, if the numbers are right, then you'll get an invitation.
That's fine. I got a lot of saran wrap, and I got a stationary bike, so I'm just gonna wrap myself up, just like get all that water weight off. Well, I think that can be our show, don't you?
Yeah, I think so too. Do you have do you know how to end it?
Yeah, I do. I love our wrap-ups because it is like somebody slapping their knees and standing up after hanging out with friends. It's like, well, I should be hitting the old dusty trail. You can find DOB. Wow, I can't believe I called you DOB.
Man,
you know what? I was looking at your Twitter handle when I said that. No, I don't. It was funny. Sean Riley, or Sean Baby, as people will know him. Well, the first few times that we hung out with him, he called Daniel Dobb, which was like, whoa, that's a swing.
I think there were a few people doing that because DOB was in like branding on the columns that I was writing,
right?
And it was before we had done videos where someone could say out loud DOB, and so I think there was a lot of like people would write comments on articles, and they would write out Dobby as like a nickname of DOB, and I thought, oh, you're pronouncing that in like a totally different way, than I had intended.
Yeah, when they're all capital letters, there are rules.
I know, and like the idea that there are some people walking around this earth looking at me and thinking, there goes Dob, is so upsetting.
Yeah, there goes Dob. I hope he finally got his sock. All right, well, you can follow me or Daniel on Blue Sky. Go find us there. I don't want to give you the handles. You don't even need them. We're the only two there. You can go to Quick Question on X still. It's at QQ_Soren and Dan. We have an email, which is QQ@gmail.com. Our Instagram is QQ Soren and Daniel. There you'll find videos of us. You can also find videos of us on YouTube doing this podcast at youtube.com/@QQpodcast. We have a Patreon where there's also brand new videos you've never seen before, unless you're a longstanding Patreon-ish patron. Jesus Christ! Of course, it's patron. Patreon/Quick Question, and we've got a
patron's the part of the word that wasn't invented for the internet. That's the part that's been there the whole time.
And I've already lost touch with it. You can, if you liked our theme song, that's from a band called Me-Rex. You can find their music anywhere you get your music from, but you can also find full albums at merex.bandcamp.com. And obviously a big thanks to our sound engineer, editor, and producer, and the glue to the entire show, Gabe Harder. Don't look for him. Bye.
Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the guys know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.